What's up guys, welcome back to Fantasy Futures. Sadly couldn't get a video in for the group stage because there was like 5 hours basically between play-ins finishing, groups starting. Here's a quick summary of how I went. Play-ins, freaking fantastic. Top 7%, very good considering I had Stair who completely bummed out, VP who didn't make it through either, Donk saved me. Sadly did not take the Donk into the group stage, a massive mistake. I was like, you know what's worked in the past for everybody? Playing it as safe as possible. So at double phase, double vitality. Literally the winning strategy. They had easy groups. There was no way this could go wrong. And it went wrong. Vitality absolutely bottomed out. Bottom of their group. What the hell? Rops, his worst event I think in ages. I don't know why he was so bad. I was like, yes, Rops will be my guy. Was not my guy. Should have gone Frozen. Could have gone Brokey. Could have gone Rain. Any of these players probably would have been better. A massive disaster. We got 1 point. But because we did well in the play-ins, we're still tied at number 5 alongside Maniac and Scrawny. That's a pretty good place to be at the moment. So I'm not stressing. I think on average that's an okay result. And I think we can do something special now that we go to playoffs. Looking at the bracket for the playoffs, there's some glaring discrepancies between the two sides. I think starting on the top side, it's got to be said Spirit have a pretty free run into the grand final. Ensign Falcons, that should be Falcons taking that just based off the name value of that team alone. And yes, they have Glaive and Diha who have experience on the big stage, particularly Glaive. But I don't think it's going to be enough, even with the home crowd advantage, to beat a team like Falcons, despite how Falcons are looking. They started to look a little bit better, and I feel like they should be taking ends here, especially after the Na'Vi win. Doesn't matter though, because Spirit is beating either of these teams. Doesn't matter who wins that, Spirit beats them hands down with the form they have, despite, some of these players not even playing in Arena before. I still think power enough in this team should beat either of these and end up in that grand final. This side is where teams are going to be made or broken. Basically, Phase G2 is the deciding game. Feels like an absolute coin flip to me. I am not sure who's going to win that. Most people are siding with FaZe, and I think the bookies are as well. But I didn't enjoy watching either of these teams during groups. Neither of them looked particularly comfortable, except a few stand-up players like Frozen and m0NESY. It felt like FaZe were very rough around the edges. I know they often start slow, but it wasn't great to watch. G2 was a similar situation, however I felt that G2 warmed up a bit more. Nico in particular was a massive impact in that last best of 3 they played, and I feel that if Nico is playing in his best form, you got Hunter, big game player, and the defending champions of Kato, I kind of actually side with G2 in this match. m0NESY feels like he clears everyone else on the FaZe side, even though FaZe's players on average are playing a bit better than G2's at the moment. Regardless though, it's such a coin flip that there's arguments for either. I do think MOUZ is interesting. Technically, they're a better pick than G2 in terms of their ranking. Plus you get some padding points, like 12 points, because you don't play that first round. Same thing with Spirit. I think a lot of people are going to be sleeping on MOUZ here. Do they beat FaZe or G2? Depends if either of those teams is playing in their kind of prime form, but if they're playing in their shaky group stage form, I could see MOUZ doing an upset here. Regardless, it's kind of coin flips all the way through until this grand final. Spirit's the only one I'm confident on with the picks here. Before I look at the players you could draft, I just wanted to highlight, it's crazy to me that all 6 IGLs are in the most picked players at the moment. Kind of speaks to the pricing of this event, but just something funny that I thought was interesting. Looking at the prices of players, FaZe, pretty good prices. Brokey's still cheap. Wasn't the best during groups, but I think Rain is the most interesting here. Despite a few off games, he's a big game player. We all know it. 200k is great. Carrigan's form has been good as well, and 184 isn't bad for him. Although I think I could justify Rain Frozen if you're going FaZe, just because it's not that expensive and you can make the money up with, say, Snappy or Hooksy. Probably not Hooksy, probably Snappy. Oh yeah, don't pick Rops, by the way. Pick Frozen over Rops. MOUZ, Brolin has been the best performer alongside Exertion, but both of them I'm not 100% certain in playoffs just because they're very aggressive. I'm not sure they're going to show the same form, but if you want to back them, they're the guys to go. Personally, we're pushed more towards Jinfat. I feel like he's the more consistent rock of this team. And obviously Shuei has been great at the moment. He steps up on LAN and I think he gets fired up. Plus, you know, home crowd for him as well, so I think he's a good choice. G2. A lot of pretty good choices here. I think Huxi Monacy, a classic combo, and is great here. Huxi actually didn't do too badly, performed better than Hunter during the groups. Again though, Hunter is a big game player, so maybe there's something to be said there, but I think Huxi Monacy or Huxi Nico, who's also showing great form, is a decent choice if you're going G2. Wouldn't touch the silvers. Falcons, there's definitely arguments to be made to go for, like, if you're going for a 1% team to go in on Falcons. I do think they beat Ents and have a chance against Spirit because of the experience that they have. In which case, Snappy at 179, super cheap. You could grab him and Magus or him and Boros potentially. Even Sampaius actually performed really good the last time they were in Arena. So I think there's some good choices here if you wanted to go for that riskier pick, but most people will probably just get Snappy for the extra cash just because he has a chance to do well against Ents. Spirit is where most people will be definitely doubling up. And I think Shiro is the most popular pick for a good reason. He's a lot cheaper than Donk. You can grab him and Chopper for a pretty good price, and Shiro was, I think, 3rd or 4th highest performer during the group, so it's a great choice. If you didn't want to go in on Shiro, I think Zontix is the other pick. It's going to be one of those two if you're going in on Spirit. Magix is also a good choice. You can't really go wrong with this team just because of how well they're playing, but Shiro feels like the must pick. Ents, I really probably wouldn't go here unless you want to do something super crazy, which, you know, good for you, but Glaive is probably the guy to go here. Goofy's numbers have been good for, again, a low price point, but I wouldn't overinvest. For my team, there was obviously one choice that I had to go, and that's Shiro Chopper, locking that in no matter what. I think that I've said all the reasons why Spirit are a good choice, and that's the winning combo in my opinion, because Donk's way too expensive. What do we do here? I think we need a budget player to start things off, and I am going to be grabbing Snappy as my cheapy player. That leaves me with 408 now to work with, which is enough for a pretty good combo from most teams. However, I don't know who's going to win out of FaZe in G2. I keep making the wrong call, and I don't want to risk it again. I'm going to be taking the padding points and going for a bit of an out there strategy because I think most people are going to go in on FaZe. I'm going to go in on MOUZ and hope they provide the upset and potentially then put me into that top percentile. And if not, I get my padding points for that round not played, and I'm confident about Spirit. So I'm going to be going Shuei, and then I've got my choice for the other MOUZ player. Because I've got the money, I may as well go the best performer, even though I don't think he's necessarily the best choice. This is the mistake I made with FaZe, with picking Robs when I could have got Frozen. But I still feel like, whatever, we're already going a bit risky by going MOUZ. Why not go Brolin if he's showing this form? If he's playing these more star roles that, you know, he gets to shine in, then to hell with it. We're rocking it. It's a bit out there. It's a bit dark. It's the Sith Lords. Little bit risky, but I'm just avoiding that 50-50, hoping for the best and trying to bounce back from a pretty terrible group stage. Let me know what your team is as per usual. Let me know what you think of mine, and good luck.